Okay, so has the recording begun,
Yeah,
please?
it has.
So that will... All right, so thank you guys so much for joining us here. My name is Dawood Idris, and here with me is Salman and Sabiha. Hi, Salman. Hi, Sabiha.
Hello, how are you
Hello.
guys? Thanks for joining.
Hi. Thank you.
Great. So on this call, we are going to cover up introduction to cloud computing, but you are going to learn much more than just cloud computing. In the process, we believe in making ourselves readily available to you so that you can ask questions even beyond the topics that we are about to discuss. Okay, but just to be rest assured, we want you to keep your questions coming in the direction of um, our Inspirecast, okay, so that we will be able to give you what exactly you need, okay? So I'm going to begin by my session. So I'll be covering up what cloud computing is. Okay, so today we're going to be covering up what cloud computing is. We're going to be talking about software as service. We'll be talking about PaaS. Don't worry if this sounds so new to you. By the end of this, lectures, you should be able to learn all this. All right, and we will also talk about Azure Cognitive Services. We will take you through virtual machine. We will also talk about how you can deploy a web app in Microsoft Azure. We will also take you through Azure Logic apps, okay? So in my session in particular, I'm just going to begin with what cloud computing is. Okay, so um, cool. So what is cloud computing? I believe you guys might have heard of cloud computing before joining this course. So if you don't mind, you can just share in the chat what you think cloud computing is. Can you just share it in the chat with me? What do you think cloud computing is? Ignore my definition projected on your screen. If you have any idea of cloud computing, just share it with me. Okay, so I was supposed to know for now. Okay, I know you have an idea, but I was supposed to know. So cloud computing is the on-demand availability of computer system resources, especially data storage and computing power without direct active management of a user. So in another way, I'm just trying to tell you that cloud computing, if you want a better definition than what you are getting here, it is more or less of having the ability to store your data and then perform cloud computing without necessarily having to set all this up on your own, like on your own machine. So you don't. So for example, if you want to host a website, you don't really necessarily have to build your own server. All right. So instead, you could actually access this remotely. Okay, computing is that it is the practice of using a network of remote servers hosted in it to store, manage, and provide. So rather than storing it or doing all this in a local server or on your personal computer, you are instead accessing it remotely. Okay, so that is what we term as cloud computing. So suppose you need a petrol, okay? Maybe you are a driver or maybe you own a personal car. So suppose you need a petrol for your car to travel a short distance or even a longer distance. What you are interested in the petrol, what you are actually interested in is the petrol for your car, not the process of refining petrol. So you need a petrol just for your car. You don't have to think about, okay, how do I refine a petrol? How do I, make it available and all that, all those long processes, you don't need to think about it, right? And even more, you are also interested in what your money can afford. But further, you just need that service for the time being. Okay, you need the petrol for the time being. You don't need it like forever, or you don't need it after going on your journey, right? So and you will need more even after. So you should be able to get the ability to kind of just request for what you want. Okay, and that is what cloud computing is about. So let me just take the scenario again. So suppose you need a petrol for your car to travel a short distance or even a longer distance. what you are interested in is the petrol for your car, not the process of refining petrol. Even more, you are also interested in what your money can afford. But further, you just need that service for the time being, and you will need more after, or maybe you might not. So that is one way you could easily understand what cloud computing is. So good. So back to the concept of cloud computing. This is to say that when using the cloud, you are mostly just interested in the service that you need for work, and not to mount servers and cables on that. Okay, so with cloud computing service, you are being saved of the stress of making uh, let me close this tab, it's a bit distractive here. Okay, so with cloud computing, you are just interested in what you would use, okay? And you don't have to take care of cabling, you don't need to take care of, mounting servers and a lot of processes. Cloud computing saves you the time of, going through all those hassle, and you just let cloud providers take care of that for you. Okay, so one of the cloud providers that we will mention here is Microsoft Azure, which has a lot of services than any other cloud providers. Okay, so I believe with this illustration, you should be able to understand that a consumer would be only interested in what he consumes and not to pay upfront. So let's discuss some of the advantages that you can actually get when you use a cloud, right? So why do you think businesses go on a cloud? I made an example of using, you needing a petrol, and because you actually need a petrol, you don't have to, worry about how petrol is being refined and all. You just need to get to the filling station, and then awesome, there you go. You purchase your petrol, and then it's full for you. In relation to cloud computing, you just access some service, and then if you request for the service and it's made available to you, you pay for it. So you don't pay for what you've not, requested. And even further, you can terminate, your service at any point in time. And a perfect example of cloud computing is Microsoft Azure. All right. So I think I might have cheated a bit because I wanted you to actually tell me the advantages instead of me telling you from the case study that I gave you. But my slide is already here, so I need to discuss that with you. So cloud computing is actually enabling businesses to access software on the internet as service. All right. So say you want to host a web app. It's very easy. Go to Microsoft Azure and then request for that particular service. And when it's made available for you, you pay for what you use. Okay. So to an extent, some people, you can also think about it this way. Okay. Think about it as you have written several functions, about 5 or 10 functions. Okay, so anytime someone makes a request to one of your function, then you pay for it. So you don't need to pay for what you haven't request for. Okay, and one other advantage of cloud computing is it is also cost effective because you get to pay for only what you use.
I think Dawida might, or he might have cut out.
Till he connects back, I guess just try to think of advantages of cloud computing.
So his last slide was going to be the tag of the day. So if you want to tag the hashtag MSP Inspire, Microsoft Student Partner, InspireCast, and then the speakers. And yeah, so moving on, what we also want to discuss what exactly PaaS and SaaS is. So software as a service and platform as a service. So who of you know what these terms are? Have you come across them before? SaaS is actually beneficial for many scenarios. For example, if you're in like a small company and you want to launch some software, you might not want to just pay for like software in terms of upfront costs. So that could be, for example, you have an Office 365 subscription. It's like Dawood was mentioning, with cloud services, you might not want to just pay for a huge server. You could just pay for a cloud server, right? That's exactly what platform as a service is. And you have other things as well. So you have infrastructure as a service, and you have lots of different ways you can go about it. That's basically the gist of it. So you have software as a service, platform as a service, And yeah, so moving on, I think we're going to pass on to Sabiha now, and she will be covering cognitive services. Sabiha, do you want to give it a go with this
Yeah,
control?
sure. Okay, so hi everyone, I'm Sabiha, and I'll be talking about what exactly cognitive services are and how you can use them in your application. So let's start off with what exactly a cognitive service is in the most basic sense. So these are basically APIs or services that you can add to your application to make it more intelligent. So for example, you could add face recognition in your application, or you could add something that would detect if there's a dog in your image. So all of these are already like a pre-written code, so you can just include them in your application, and within just minutes you can make it intelligent. And you don't need to possess any data science skills or actually have any experience with AI to even use them. And that's the best part about this. And like there are five major groups in the cognitive services, which is the vision, the speech APIs, the language, the decision, and search. So under these, there are even more subcategories of services that are offered. So before we actually dive into each of them, let's take a look at where these might be used in a real world scenario. So first example we have is the face recognition. So many of the companies right now, they have come up with a smarter way to manage the attendance of employees who come in. Instead of them writing on a piece of paper that they came into the company, they can instead scan their face when they first arrive at the company during that day, and then when they leave the company, they can again, scan their face. So it's kind of like an attendance system for employees. So this is one of the scenarios where usually companies have started to use it. And the second one we have is the speech to text apps. So you could record your maybe your lecture, or you could also record a meeting that's going on. And using like Azure APIs, you could transcribe this in the form of a text file. So you can later, maybe refer to it instead of having to type notes or write down stuff during your lecture. And the next example is a sentiment analysis. So usually companies that have, say, like suppose a restaurant exists and they want to track how their restaurant is doing. So one way they could do is obviously they could go to Google reviews or Yelp and then see manually check out what each person is saying. Or they could analyze it by putting all of the reviews in an Excel sheet and then passing it through the sentiment analysis APIs that Azure provides. So yeah, so these are just a few of the examples that you can use Azure for. And if you actually head to the website, they have a very thorough description about each of the services that are offered. So this is actually just a snippet that I took from the website. So you can head to the website, which is Azure Microsoft.com/cognitive services, I believe. So let's take a look at one of the service here, which is the vision service. So the vision service is actually used mainly to identify stuff in pictures, videos, and even like forms. So under the vision services, you have even subcategories. For example, you have the computer vision, which allows you to process images and return information. So you could actually supply it with a picture and ask, what exactly does the picture contain? So yeah, this is a great way to like actually analyze the picture without having to write a lot of code with just the help of this computer vision API. Apart from that, you also have the face APIs, and the example of this we saw earlier, like you could use it for face recognition. And we have the video indexer API, which allows you to do the same thing as how you could analyze the content for images, but now you could do the same. You could find out what exactly a video contains, like what's the voice, what is being shown. And the next one is the custom vision one, and this allows you to do image classification and object detection. And I guess you can say it is pretty similar to how the computer vision API works, except in case of custom vision, you can train with your own data set. So you can provide like images of flowers or cats and dogs, and then train it with that data. And we'll be taking a look at how this exactly works towards the end of this cognitive services demo. And the ink recognizer and form recognizer is also working, like it allows you to recognize stuff from the forms. And we won't be covering this much in detail as there's not much time during this session, but you're free to explore what exactly each of them are. So here are a few of the examples that I took from the website. So on the left-hand side, you can see that if I supplied with an image of a Microsoft logo, it recognizes it and says that it is a Microsoft logo, and it draws like a bounding box around it. And this is the recognize brands feature of the Vision API. And on the right-hand side, you can see that if I supply with a picture of make a picture with some text on it which says make things happen, it detects it by saying that, okay, this picture contains make things happen. And this is basically using the OCR feature of under the computer vision APIs. So if you guys want to actually try out how this works, you can head to this link, which is azure.microsoft.com/services. And under each of the service, they have this option called demo, which if you click, it's going to expand and it's going to show you a place where you can try out with your sample inputs. So this is a screenshot I took from the text sentiment analysis demo. So you can see that here the text says, I had a wonderful trip to Seattle last week and even visited the Space Needle 2 times. So by just reading it, you know that it's quite positive, that the person really liked it. So Azure automatically analyzes this. And on the right-hand side, you can see that it says the sentiment is mostly positive. And not just that, it is able to even tell that this is English, and there are some key phrases that it took out from that. So instead of this sample, let's just try with something else, like this webinar is great. Now, this is just a very small sentence, but still it was able to analyze the sentiment of what exactly this text was saying. And if we go with something negative, like this, unfortunately, it rained and stuff, it is able to say that it's a negative sentiment, and we see that it's a red bar instead of the previous green bar. So yeah, so these are some of the things you can try out. You can do the same for other pictures as well. So moving on to the next one is the speech services, which we're going to cover briefly. So this allows you to convert your text to speech or speech to text in real time. So you can also translate your the content which is being spoken. Other than that, you can also identify speakers. So you could have like like Barack Obama and some other people, and if you give them the sample, I mean, if you give Azure the sample, it is going to recognize and tell you who is this person. And you can also do a speaker verification. So as you can see next to each of these, there's an option called demo. So you can go ahead and try it with your samples on the official website. This is just a brief introduction about the speech services. And moving on to the language services, we have a lot of options here. We have the text analytics, which is where we just checked out the sentiment analysis. We have the Q&A maker, which is used for Azure bots, which we'll be discussing more on in the future. We have the translator features and some new features like the immersive reader and language understanding. So we're just going to take a look at the text analytics in this. So the text analytics, you can use it along with other software such as the Microsoft Power BI. So say, for example, I own a travel agency and I have collected a list of the responses for my latest package. So you can see that I could put it all in a CSV and I can put it in Power BI, and directly from there, I can put the key for the Azure Text Analytics, and Power BI has this visual called word cloud. So using all of that together, I generated this word cloud, which you can see on the left-hand side. So although it may look a bit complicated, it's quite simple, and you just need to attain a Azure text key and use it in Power BI. So yeah, so it makes the whole job quite easier. And let's so I guess we're going to be talking about this much for the Azure like cognitive services, and I'm just going to end with a quick demo on how you can do it for this project, which is, let's say for a hackathon, you wanted to identify the type of plant or the flower on just clicking a picture. So you can do this really quickly with the help of the custom vision APIs, which you can go to this site called customvision.ai. So I'm just going to show you a very quick demo of how it works. The dataset that I took was from Kaggle, which is called the flower recognition dataset. I just took a few pictures from that. So I'm just going to switch to the demo so that you guys can see it. Okay, so I've gone to the website called customvision.ai. And here, when you log in, you can first create a project. So I've just tested out with the flower recognition one, but the process is pretty simple. You just enter your name for the project. So let's say flower recognition sample, and I could put a description that's optional. And creating a resource, you should create, like, you have to create a resource group which has the computer vision API key. So if you don't have one, you can just click on create new, and you can enter a name, you can choose a subscription, and if you are a student, you have the Azure for Students subscription, which you can use for free, and you can further choose a resource group. I had already created one previously, so it shows up here, but if you don't have one, you can just click on create new. And similarly here, you can choose cognitive services. The location, you could just keep it the same. It won't really matter. And we have the pricing tier, which is S0. So since I've already created one resource, I'm like not going to create again, but you can just click on create resource, and it's going to create resource, and it's going to show up here under this drop down. And further, you need to choose the project types. So in this, we're just going to differentiate between different types of flowers. So just click on classification. If you were to detect if like this picture has a dog or not, you could choose object detection. And under classification types, I'm going to choose multi-class because I just want a single tag per image. Like I want to tag it as Rose or Daisy and so on. And I'm going to go with general. If you have any other stuff like landmarks, food, you can choose those here as well. And you can click on create project. Now I've already created one, so I'm just going to show you how it works over there. So I'm going to click cancel, and we're going to go to the flower recognition project. And so when you create a new project, it's going to just open this sort of view, and you're not going to have any of the images here. I had just uploaded this a few minutes back, but you could click on add images, and you can add images. So I'll just be adding a few images from for a sunflower. So I can click on add images, and it's going to open the file explorer from where you can choose the images. I've just saved some of the images from Kaggle, so I'm going to try to load it from there. So I'm just going to select like a few of them, and I clicked open. So as you can see, it's able to like show it here, and I'm just going to tag it as sunflower and upload these 9 files. So it says it's uploaded successfully. So now let's just train our model. So you can just do quick training and click train. And just wait for it to train. And every time you add more pictures, you would have to train it again. And you can see that I tested it out previously, which has iteration 1. And this is when I trained it again, it shows iteration 2. And so it finished training. And now I want to test with the image. So I'm going to take one of the images which I haven't uploaded previously and just import it into this. So I chose an image from my local files. And if you look, you can see that it is able to analyze that this is a sunflower and nothing else. And similarly, let's just test with another photo. So I'm taking this photo of a daisy from a URL. So you don't necessarily have to upload it. You can also take it from a URL. So I'll just paste the URL here. And you can see that it is able to recognize this is a daisy and it's not a sunflower, not a rose. So yeah, that is just a basic demo of the application. And if you are interested to learn more about custom vision or even what the different cognitive services are, you can head over to the default official documents at this link, and you can check more about what is cognitive services. Yeah, and I think that's the end of my section, and Salman will be continuing on with more information about different technologies. Yep.
Cool, thank you very much, Sabiha. That was great.
Thank you. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comments.
Thank you very much, Sabiha. That was a great session, great presentation. I believe everyone is learning very well, like I am. Okay, so Salman, next to present.
Okay, that should be visible now. And I'll try to get the chat up so I can also see what everyone's saying. Okay, so Today I'm just going to be going over what Logic Apps is. So Logic Apps is a way for you to automate certain processes using the cloud. So for example, if you want to use Twitter and you want to automate certain processes such as sending an email out based on your tweets, then you can do that just using Azure, and you don't have to have any coding experience at all. You can just go straight in, and it's sort of like a drag and drop process, like if you've done Scratch before. But if you've never done coding before, don't worry, this is a really simple tutorial, and I'll try to go over it in a very logical and concise way, as the name suggests, Logic Apps. So our plan today is we're going to use Twitter, and we're going to analyze these tweets, right? So we're going to be analyzing these tweets, and we're going to be doing sentiment analysis. So as Sabiha also mentioned, she used sentiment analysis in her demo. In this demo, we will also be using the Azure Cognitive Services. So we'll be using sentiment analysis in this case. We'll be analyzing whether or not these tweets are going to be positive or negative. And after that, say if it's a positive tweet, we'll send it out to one email. In this case, we're going to be sending out the positive email using Gmail. And if it's going to be a negative tweet, we'll be sending out using Outlook. Right, so as I said, we're going to be using Azure Cognitive Services. So if you've never used any sort of AI before or machine learning, that doesn't matter. It's all done for you. It's a very high level approach to machine learning and AI. And we're also going to be using the Logic App service, okay? So you'll go on the Azure portal and you'll create each of these, and over there, this is the view you'll be presented with once you've created your Logic Apps. So as you can see, there's a lot of different options you have. So you can do one for when you receive an email, when you create a new file on OneDrive. But in this case, we're going to go straight into it, and we're going to use when a new tweet is posted. So the option's right there. And I've put in the search text, hashtag Saturday Thoughts. Today is actually Saturday, so this might be a good tweet for you guys to look at and see if anyone's talking about this hashtag. So it's going to get all the tweets which have hashtag Saturday Thoughts, and every 1 minute it will look for these tweets and gather them. Okay, and after that, so as I said, this is all like drag and drop style. There's no sort of like coding involved, so that's all done for you. So it's got all those tweets, and next it's going to detect the sentiment. So it's going to detect whether or not it's positive or negative. So we're going to take the tweet text, and as you can see, you can get each and every possible variable from a tweet that you can think of. And after that, we're going to do a condition. So if the sentiment that comes out is positive, hold on, someone's okay. So yeah, if it's positive, you have an option here. If it's negative, you have an option here. But in our case, we're going to say a positive tweet is 0.75 or above, and if it's not 0.75 or above, it's sort of negative. I mean, it's not the most positive tweet, so we're not going to send out an email for that being positive. Okay, so that's what the overall view looks like from the top. So we're going to add some actions into here. So in this case, I'm going to be using my Gmail. So this is how easy it is to just connect to a service. There's no need to set up an API. Azure Logic Apps does that for you. All you have to do is choose Gmail, Outlook. You can even use some like services which don't have a connector set up. As long as it has a REST API, you can set it up pretty easily. But there's also other ways you can make your own API and stuff like that, make your own connectors. And yeah, on the file side, we've got another email. So this one, I've got a spelling mistake here, but it's saying that it's not a positive tweet, and this one is saying it's a positive tweet. Okay, so moving on, that's that. Seeing it from the top, and you click run, save at the top here, and then it will automatically run. And you can see you get emails. Sometimes it might fail. There's certain tweets that might not actually have any text or something, or maybe it's the language not being compatible. But yeah, you get a lot of positive ones. So in my email on Gmail, so remember Gmail was the account which got the positive tweets. So I've got a bunch of emails saying, okay, I've got a positive tweet from this person, and this is the contents. So this was all done without code. That's the amazing thing. Like, you can click the link and that's the tweet that was sent out. And here's another one. As you can see, I'm highlighting the fact that we have it being sent out with Gmail. And this is an example of the negative tweet. Again, I've got a spelling mistake, but that's pretty cool. This person seems to have the same name as me. So that's pretty cool. Oh, we got a question. Does it only work on Gmail or any other email? Okay, so yes, it does work for other emails. So for example, here we're using Outlook to send out the negative email. If it's positive, we're sending out using Gmail. You can also set up other emails as well. It's got similar like parameters. And yeah, so this is a negative tweet. It says, what goes around comes around. That's not very nice, I guess. What you sow, you reap. That doesn't sound very nice. And then on the positive case, it was like talking about happy weekend, everyone, which amazing people are working. So we can see that it's working and it's going along with what we want. So that's pretty much it. If you do coding, what you can do is you can go into the JSON, so JavaScript object notation, where you have all the key value pairs. You can edit things. As you can see here, we've got the hashtag, which we're gathering all the tweets for. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, I think pass to Dawood again. But we're going to talk about the Imagine Cup. And if you guys are students, it's an awesome competition for you guys to get involved with, where you can compete with other students and you get $100,000 prize. Today, we're going to give out some gift codes for you guys, but Imagine Cups is the big one, you know?
I think, Salman, you have a question in the chat, which asks, yeah.
Is the part that sums up all positive and negative like summary report. Okay, if you do want to expand it further, you can go into the code and dive into it, and you can make a report. If we go back over here, as you can see, there's different actions you have. So depending on what there is available, you can definitely explore and see if you can make a report with this. There's loads of possibilities, like the number of connectors you have. Like on this slide, I show just a preview of the connectors. It goes into like blockchain as well, and it's so good. It's crazy how many connections they've set up themselves already.
Salman, please, sorry. Just change it back to your screen, please. Sorry.
Okay, that's all right. Let me get that up. Cool, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, the possibilities are basically endless. You can set it up in the sense that you don't need any code, but you can do it with code as well. It's just easy to get started without code in this situation if you've never done it. But then if you want to expand it further, then yeah, you can. And again, if you're a student and you don't have an Azure account already, go ahead and set up your Azure student account. You get $100 free credit when you create your free Azure students account. You don't need a credit card or anything to sign up. You get free developer tools. And there's awesome learning paths which you can start on Microsoft Learn, which are free to do for anyone. If you want to send me a question on Logic Apps, go ahead. I'm on Twitter. If you want to send anyone else a question on any of the topics today, go ahead and send us a tweet and we'll be happy to answer. I know it's been quite a short session, so we tried to fit a lot in today, so we couldn't go as in depth. I did do a video which goes a lot more in depth, which if you want to watch that, or just ask us any questions on Twitter.
All right, so I'm just going to demonstrate how you can easily host a web app on Microsoft Azure. So let me click on create resource. So I just visited, portal.azure.com, and now I just want to click on, let me go back. I just want to make sure that you are getting everything right, okay? So I clicked on create a resource. So if you want to host a web app, it's as simple as this. Click on create a resource, and then you will see among the resources is web app. So you can just click on web app, okay? And once you click on web app, give it a few minutes and a window would be loaded and you would be able to enter some few details and you'll be up and running, okay? So this is the screen. So I just clicked on, resource, create a resource, and I clicked on web app, and I had the screen to set myself up so that I can host my web application, okay? So in this case, I'm using Visual Studio Enterprise subscription. Go ahead and select your own subscription, or you can also come down to the second session and then create your resource group. If you have an existing resource group, you can just select one. In this case, I'm just going to create a new one. For instance, maybe I'm just going to call it InspireCast. Okay, so that I can delete it once I'm done. I just want to give it a name that I should be familiar with. All right, so you can create your resource group and then give your web app a unique name. So in this case, I'm going to call it InspireCast. Once again, I think that's a unique name, right? Awesome. Yeah. So yeah, I'll give my web app a name and then I'll just leave it to code, and I can select a runtime. So if the application is going to run in Node, in PHP, or whatever, you can just go ahead and select that. I know I like PHP a lot, so I'm just going to select PHP. All right. So maybe my web app is going to be in PHP. Okay. And you have to select a region. You have to select among these regions which one is much closer to you. Just select that as your region. In this case, just going to cheat a bit, and I'll say that I live in Central US. Is that cool? Okay, and I will then move on to the next state. Okay, so I can just go to review and create, or I can go to monitoring, but I just want to keep this tutorial really, really simple so that you don't get overwhelmed. All right, so I'll click on review and create. So it's going to be reviewed. Make sure that everything I supplied is, correct. And then I can just click to create my web app, and that'll be all. So you can even access it in the browser. So with this in mind, you can see that it has reviewed successfully. It looks like everything is cool. It's giving me much details about what I just did, and that's cool. So I'll just click on create. Okay, so once I click on create, yeah, it will take a few seconds and it will create my web app for me. And when this is created, a sample template will be made available to you via the domain name, the default domain name that it will be created for you. Okay, so in a short while, you will see that this action will be completed, and I can visit my my code in something like InspireCast. All right, so this will be the type of domain will be like InspireCast. Sorry, what am I typing here? Inspire. You understand? Azure web something. So you just get the idea. You will get a link. I mean, a domain name, a default domain name set up for you so that you can visit your web application. All right. So what I want you to even understand more is that you can also connect your default repository, maybe Get repository. You can just connect it to this web app you are creating right here on Microsoft Azure, and you'll be good to go. So I'll show you that step in just about 3 minutes time. You will be up and running like never before. Okay, so let's just give it a go small. My network is really poor here, but it's okay. We'll be there soon. So please leave us in a group. Okay, you can leave us chat so that we know what you are up to, and if you are excited about any part of this session, please make sure to tweet it. Make sure to tweet it. Tag any of us, like we mentioned from the beginning. Okay, all right, so make sure to tweet it. Okay, so okay, all right, so that is done. So now you can just click it. Okay, your deployment is underway. All right, cool. So it's still trying to get me deployed, and once that is done, we can visit it in our URL. Please make sure to leave a chat if you have anything. If you want to ask any question, make sure to leave a chat right here. Okay. Minis and videos on my policy. Yes, I do. I do have an online videos too for you. Don't worry, I'll be rightly set very soon. I'm just trying to make sure that this whole thing gets set up, and then we'll be gone. So please give me all your charts. Let me know what you are thinking. Let me know what you are learning. Are you having fun learning and all that? Just let us know in the chat, okay? Okay, so I believe my deployment, okay. Yeah, okay, so deployment is completed. So I can just go to my resource, okay? From the notification, I will just click on go to resource. So it will view this particular resource I just created, which is the web app for me, and it will provide more details for me to be able to check out on my, my created web app. Okay, so let me just scroll up. Sorry, I think I need to use this. Okay, so okay, cool. So please, you can see from here. If you can see, a default link has been created for us, right here. So we can just click on it, or I can even copy it, okay, and then go to a new tab. Let me close one of the tab. Okay, a new tab, cool. And I'll paste in the domain name here. All right, and I'll just click it and it will be loaded. So by default, this has a template, and this template has been made ready for you. So it means that any of you can now visit in your browser this URL, and then you should be able to get what I am trying to demonstrate to you right in your browser. Okay, so I know some people default to this, and they can share this link to their friends and tell them, hey, check up on my website, and you'll be set to go. Okay, so let me know, are you having fun learning? Let me know in the chats. Okay, so like Salman rightly mentioned, that if you want more than just what you are seeing, you can check up on my YouTube channel right here. I think I recorded similar tutorial over there. Yeah, on YouTube. Let me check that right. Okay. Okay, so in my YouTube channel, I've got some loaded. All right. I'll share the link with you, so you'll be able to visit there, and you'll be able to even connect your Git repository to this particular endpoint, and that would be replaced for you. Okay, so if you want to do that, if you just want to hook up with your your Git repository, come to this side, okay, this left side right here, and then check up for, I think, deployment center. All right, cool, sure. So you click on deployment center, and it would give you series of options to choose from. So you can, and whether you want to deploy it locally, whether you want to deploy it anywhere, that would be given to you. So right here, you can see when I click on deployment center inside my InspireCast resources, I'm given the option to deploy from Bitbucket, okay, GitHub, and so much more. Well, I can just click on GitHub, okay. I know my GitHub account has a lot of repositories, so I'm just going to click on GitHub, okay. And I can also say that, yes, I want this service build for my application. What it will do is that it will allow me to be able to, whenever I make changes to my Git repository, all right, and when I make changes to my project and I commit to Git, it will just take it up and then load it in the browser. So I'm just going to click on this. Okay, so once that is selected, you click on continue. Okay, and once you click on continue, it will ask you of the organization, in this case, my Git repository here as Dawood Idris, and then it will try to load every other application I have there. So let me check. I've created number of stuff. I don't know, maybe this should work. Okay, Push Deco. Yeah, one of the app I created with some of my students about 2 years ago. All right, and then you select the branch you want to deploy from. Okay, maybe you have master, maybe you have other branches. You could just select that here. So that would be the default, branch that it will always be loaded from. If you are new to GitHub, don't worry. Once again, I have a tutorial on GitHub right on my YouTube channel. I believe it should load by now. All right, allow, sure. So I'll just click on my channel, Yeah, just to show you that after here you can go ahead and then from this playlist, okay? Yeah, right here. Okay, so I have one here. Okay, so this series would give you introduction to GitHub, and then way up to how to deploy your Git repository to Microsoft Azure App Services. Okay, so that being said, I can just click on continue. All right, and it will check, authenticate. Every process is duly, completed. So then this is the repository that it's linking to. That's what it's telling me. If you go to my Git account, it's always private, so you might not see my project that I'm creating. Okay, so I'll just click on finish. Okay, and it will take a few minutes, and that default repository would be replacing all the files within my repository will be replacing, it will be replacing the default template that um, uh, the default template that was given to me. All right. So where is it again? Inspirecast, right? Yeah. So if all is said and done successfully, then when I refresh this browser, I should get my default template there. All right. Sorry. What's so within just a short while, we are already set, and I've been able to deploy my repository right into the app I created. Okay, so you can see that in the browser, right? And that's so cool. Cool. So you can do a lot of fun stuff with Microsoft Azure. Even if you want to do like sentiment analysis, as Sabiha mentioned, you want to do logic app, as Salman mentioned, you can deploy a bot and a whole lot of stuff in Microsoft Azure. So we just wanted to get your attention that you have the power in your hands. You just need to learn, and then you can do so much more on your own. All right. So I'm able to see on my browser. Yeah, sure. So thank you guys so much. Now let me just close my session, okay, so that we get to hear what you guys have learned in this session with us. I believe these were all easy stuff, but do not undermine it. It's really great stuff you've been able to do within a short while. All right. So let us know in the chat. Do you have any question? Yeah, thank you very much. Olimide, thank you. You're always here with us. Thank you. Evans and Co. Yeah, thanks too. All right. So do you have anything, any question to ask any of us? We are willing to help you. Okay. So thank you guys. When you talk about grades, are you referring to subscription? If it's subscription, yes, you have different types of subscription. Maybe student subscription, maybe Visual Studio Enterprise subscription. Yeah, you definitely have a lot more. Okay. So before we go, I just want you guys to be able to tell us. Before you go, please answer this question. What is cloud computing in your own words? Okay, cloud computing. What is cloud computing? I'm not sure. Salman, can you answer? Evans is asking whether we are using remote resources for hosting services.
Yeah. All these services when you're hosting your website, it's all gonna be remote. Like, you won't be using any of your resources on your computer. That's the whole point of this. When you're using the cloud, you're renting out services online, in the cloud. But in certain situations, like some things might be free for you. So there's like the different tiers where you don't have to pay for certain parts of things, because like the amount of money it actually costs is very little for Microsoft or these cloud services. So yeah, none of this stuff has to be run on your own computer. All you need to do is to be able to run the Azure portal to be able to set stuff up. You can set up continuous integration and continuous development, stuff like that, so that you don't even need to go into the Azure website anymore, so that whenever you sync something to your repository, it will just automatically sync. Yeah.
I can see another message here. Is there a way of storing information on the server without using devices.
Yeah, that's just using a database.
Okay, so thank you guys very much for joining the call. Can we bring back the slide? I just want to point something out that we didn't just come up with this concept that we should come together and then host a webinar and go away. All right. Yes, this is free of charge. We want you guys to learn and explore more than we just did. Okay, but we want to even build a better community with you. All right. So over the next couple of weeks coming up, we will be having something for the public and the Microsoft student partners, a huge amount of us to come together and host a fantastic session for you. It's going to be called a virtual call for MSPs. So many MSPs will be having interactions with all of you. Okay, so you will be learning different topics within the course of the month. So please make sure to subscribe to our meetup group so that you will be always notified of the new stuff that we talk about. All right. So if you need a link, I'll share a link so that you subscribe over there, you join our community, and then when the time comes, we will learn together with all of you. All right. So we don't want you to go away. We want you to stay connected with us. All right. So that we learn from you and you learn from us. That is what we are trying to say. All right. So thanks so much. Yeah, I can see all the questions. Salman, do you have anything to say?
Do I have anything to say? I would like to thank everyone for joining.
Let's close the session with him.
Thank you for Dawood for setting up this event as well, and Sabiha for joining as well. Yeah, I think we'll try to do more of these in the future. I think this was our first attempt at doing like a global pop-up event. We were thinking of using different platforms, but Mixer has some problems at the moment. Again, if you want to ask us any questions, Sabiha has already left because she's very busy at the moment. You can reach her on Twitter, same with Dawood and myself. Also, we have individual videos on each of our channels on YouTube as well. It's the same, I believe it's the same handle for each of us on YouTube. For me and Dawood, Sabiha, I posted her video above, she also posted hers, which goes into a lot more depth as well in terms of my case as well.
Yeah, cool. So these are the hashtags. Please use them, tweet about what you learned and all the great comments you are giving here so that next time, maybe somewhere next week, next 2 weeks, people can still join the call and we will have massive people learning together with us. All right. So thank you guys so much. Have a great weekend.